Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Samuel Trapp. I am the Russian speaking American, and this is my channel. Every once in a while, I like to do something in English, throw it out there, and see what develops in my channel. I recently returned from a trip to Georgia. I went to Chechnya. I went to Russia, cities of Vladikavkaz. I went to the regions known as Ossetia, north and south, and very pretty country, very much nature and beauty that I got to tour around and see. And very interesting times. I wanted to talk a little bit about sanctions today and the difference in traveling under sanctions and not that we have created. And it's very bright in here. Why is it so damn bright in here? I'm not. Maybe I might prefer it in my car so you can't see that I'm an unshaven wanker today and that I haven't shaved. But I wanted to put out just a relatively small video as an American to other Americans. Most of the time I speak in Russian for a couple of reasons. It started a while ago when I did kind of an analysis of the Tucker Carlson interview of Vladimir Putin, which was truthfully far more interesting in Russian when they showed it in Russian than it was in English. This is a historic problem, and people don't notice it unless they are particularly fluent in both languages. And I don't want to pat myself too hard on the back, but my Russian is pretty damn good. And I like listening to Putin because his speech patterns are clear. He speaks clear, he speaks forcefully. He knows how to use humor in a sentence. I know that instantly I'm going to get the gee, a Putin apologist, blah blah blah. All these morons that get to run around and claim that Putin is the mass murderer and a dictator. All false, by the way. And if anyone had listened to him over the years, we wouldn't be where we are right now. And it's pretty funny because I've had several conversations with people that I consider to be very well informed and intelligent on the subject. And especially, and people that speak both English and Russian at pretty good levels, at college level, let's call it. My Russian is probably college level, and I know I can, if I can't explain myself, if I don't know a particular word, I can get around it because I can explain what I'm talking to, and so my Russian is quite good, and I enjoy. Why I have little trouble with slang, with when kids are talking. I don't get what they're saying in English either, so and I speak English from birth, and sometimes it's a little difficult, but to understand, differences in culture, differences in realities. We have a different reality than they have in Russian countries. But if people had listened to, and this is a historic problem, always been problems in interpretation, because sometimes, no matter how good you are, you miss the boat. Hours of meaning, whatever it is you're trying to say. It's why you wouldn't take a college class in English if you didn't understand basic English. These people that come from foreign countries, they spend a year or two learning English before they go into advanced level courses, and they have a lot more upbringing in it because a lot of people learn their languages in their youth, and then by the time they get to college, they speak English pretty well, and so they come here and get their education and then leave. We had a stellar education process in a lot of places. It's still considered to be so. Not positive that I agree with that all the way, based on what I know now, because we are full of propaganda everywhere. Every once in a while I'll throw out the title of a video like I did in Russian this morning and threw out something that said Sam's Daily Dose of Propaganda. American propaganda I get to throw out, but in Russian. Geez, I'm looking old these days. What am I going to do? Got to do something about my eyes. Maybe I'll go get some surgery or something. Looking a bit on the old side, but I'm old, so there you go. At any rate, the The things I wanted to speak about today were the war in Ukraine, of course, and the perception of Russia in America. I've started a 501c3 that I would like to do something to let the world realize and to start getting some money. We have shortchanged the Russian culture and beauty of everything Russian by turning that all into all Russians are bad people. Russians are not bad people. And, that'd be the same as saying, imagine it if you said the same thing and said all Israelis are bad people. Or the converse, all Israelis are good people. That's certainly not the case. All Russians are not good people. All Americans are certainly not good people. Most of us are pretty damn good. Most of us generally treat others with respect. And most of us generally are acceptant of other cultures, other people, other nationalities. How you can lump an entire nationality into the bad guy category because of politics is really nonsense. And the U.S. has done that forever. And so perceptions, before I get into the Ukraine war, I have so much to talk about. I could speak for days on this subject of America and what America either has become or is rapidly becoming. We are colonialists, just like the British were until very recently, and the French were until very recently, and unfortunately, people don't believe it. I must admit to having had my own rose-colored glasses when I served in the military, but that's when I began to wake up. That's when I began to realize what a scam it is we're playing worldwide, and what we are doing the rest of the world is sick of. And you don't find out about it until you travel more. And as Americans, we're kind of shielded. We don't travel as much as we ought to. We don't find out. And there's a certain class of people, but damn, it's expensive. They might keep it that way just so that we don't travel. And, that's wrong too. Because if we had these other perceptions and other ideas of what was really going on in the world, and I like to include myself in that group. Having been to Georgia. Georgia was country number 51 for me, and I thought Georgia was pretty cool. Their food is great, their wine is fantastic, and their food in that area of the world is just outstanding. I stayed in Kesbegi, which is near the Russian border with Georgia. Stayed there for, 3-4 days in an A-frame little home. It was kind of cool. Separate home, one bed, not even a bedroom, just a loft for sleeping in. And it's just an A-frame. And if you want a nice travel, I'll hook you up. I know what to do and know where to go. And it'd be really nice. Maybe we'll make that part of our business is you want to go to some of these places. I'll set it all up for you. I'll escort you. I will be your tour guide, in fact. And I would love to set some of these up with probably small groups, 10 to 12, nothing huge, maybe even half that size. It costs you some money, but experience of a lifetime. Last year when I went to Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzia, and Kazakhstan, got news for you. That was interesting. And then I traveled by train, I traveled by bus. They have sleeper buses over there. And you get on a bus, you spend 20 hours on the road going somewhere. You have your own little sleeping cabinet. There's no bathrooms in them. I think a great business idea would be to start one of those, and I don't know why you wouldn't put a bathroom in them. Probably for the clean out afterward. You'd have to figure a place somewhere to clean them out because I still believe that in some of those countries, those type of surfaces, although available, are probably astronomical in cost. They do have bathrooms on trains, and the trains are different than the trains in the U.S. I did some Amtrak, only Missouri, but I did some Amtrak in there, and I was embarrassed at the quality of our railroad systems. But over there, they were old but well cared for and well taken care of. And I was in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan on the train. And these are travel trains, sleepers, and so you have sleeper places. It's kind of cool. And truthfully, I don't know how much of that we have in the U.S. It'd be great if we had more, because what we do not have as a country is mass transit on the countrywide scale. And they do have much more of that in Eastern Europe. And I have so much to talk about, and I get sidetracked, and I really apologize for that, because it's important that these things get out. And I was asked to interview. Hopefully, we'll work it out. I won't tell who it is yet, but I do have people paying attention to my channel. I have almost, I don't remember, 14,000 subscribers, and I'm frankly quite pleased that I have them and that people are starting to pay attention to me. Most of it is in Russian. I have been pumping my appearances, which are going to be on Damn Radio. Go to damnradio.com, and we are still organizing my appearances and how we can do, since I travel so much and I don't necessarily live where we are doing the program. It's a little harder for me to have something regular scheduled. I don't want to start it and then fall flat on my face, but not have a steady and regular program schedule. But we want to have one on our regular program schedule, and I'm going to do it, but we're trying to figure out how we can do the phone in. I don't want to be just answering emails and things. I would prefer to talk to people and get real conversations going, because I think I have a lot to say. Well, I know I have a lot to say. Whether people want to listen to it or not is another deal entirely. But we'll get to that. Boy, I really look terrible today. I need to do something to spruce myself up when I get ready to do a show. But I kind of do it on the fly. And I'm going to do this exact same show in Russian. But I wanted to give a few thoughts on the Ukrainian war right now. There's so many things intertwined into this. The destruction of Telegram in Ukraine right now, and in most of Europe. You saw they arrested the CEO of Telegram in France this week, and basically spreading propaganda. So now Telegram is the next Twitter, right? Or Twitter, and maybe Elon Musk will have to buy Telegram. But if you don't have one person committed to letting people speak freely, that's a problem. And Telegram speaks freely, and Ukraine has absolutely no freedom of speech, none. And you should see some of the commentary I get in Russian on my channel when I speak in Russian, and then how horrible I am that I don't just blindly toe the line of what these, I don't know what to call them, fascists is too strong of a word, but these people who insist that you don't disagree with them. And you have the same thing we run into in America. Hopefully it's not on as bad a stage. Hopefully it's something that we can continue to fight and have brave judges. I mourn for the future already. I mistakenly believed that our system was the best, without fail. Trust in the system, trust in the system, trust in the system. By God, you better not. You better make some backup plans, and don't count on that system, because that system is just as likely to screw you as it has Donald Trump, as it has me. And you can read all about me. I went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. You can read about me. I'm not a lunatic. I know what I'm talking about, and you will never get me to bow to people who've stolen my perceived right to be who I am. And had I just towed the line, had I done something differently, not been as opinionated as I am, my life would be different right now. Period. Period. At every level. My history, should you not know it, is I was a diplomatic interpreter. We were subordinate to the State Department, and I'm not sure where they are now. I had heard that the name of the organization that I worked for, which was called the On-Site Inspection Agency, is now called the Nuclear Threat Reduction Agency. Or they combined, or they did something. Either way, the On-Site Inspection Agency, as it was when I worked there, does not exist in the way it did then. Not quite sure where it's gone. Haven't reviewed the history of it all. It's probably available on Wikipedia, something easy. You can go look it up. But the reason that that organization was in place was during the Reagan years, they had the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, INF Treaty. And in Russian, it was called the Treaty on RSMD, Rakety Sredny Menshi Dalnosti, rockets of short and intermediate ranges, to put them all over Europe. And if you don't understand this, you're making a mistake in Ukraine. If you blindly say, like the government wants you to, like everybody wants you to say, if you just blindly agree that Putin's a dictator, if you blindly agree that Putin's a murderer, if you blindly agree that this war started in February of 2022, you're blind. You're just blind. And that's at every single level. In government, you have a history. And when I was practicing law, we had a statement that says, experts. Ask a lawyer what an expert is. Ask any lawyer that knows what the flip he's talking about. Ask him what an expert is. An expert is somebody you pay for the opinion that you want. I can get an expert. I always said this. I can get an expert to give me an opinion on anything, or give me the opposite opinion on the same thing, depending on how much I pay him. Now, maybe they are experts, but opinions are opinions. They're all just opinions. And for every expert that you hire, there's another expert that says something different. The problem is in America, we've only been listened to a lopsided set of experts forever. We only listen to the same set of experts. And I saw this when I was in the military. The morons that were running the show when I was working at the On-Site Inspection Agency, we had won. We had won the Cold War. For me, I saw it as an opportunity of, well, great. And for most Americans, I'd like to think I'm a pretty standard, back then, young American. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. There is no reason we should be at war verbally, hyperbolically, however you want to say it. We should, or literally, with anyone. There is no reason for it in today's world, truthfully. What are we fighting for? Resources, as usual. And at the time, I remember when the wall came down, and I remember when the Soviet Union collapsed, and I was in the military, and we were assisting in that process. And there was a great deal of pride on the American side that we won. We won, if you want to call it that. Reagan destroyed the Soviet Union by outspending them. Do you remember Star Wars? Do you remember Star Wars, not the show, but that's where it came from, obviously. We were going to start making satellites that could blow you up from space. That's what the threat was from Reagan, if you remember that. And now, guess what? Russia and China have platforms that they're beginning to develop that America has them too, by the way, that we squandered opportunity back then to, instead of creating a world where people could live together, we turned the entire, tried to, and still in that effort in Ukraine, tried to turn it into a unipolar world, a one party world. And that party is the United States. And whoever in the dark is controlling the interest of the United States, which are probably the same people controlling Europe and NATO and some of the bigger places. Well, now, and if you travel as an American, not a rich one either, if you just travel to travel and find out what's going on in other places and meet other people. Like I said, I've been to 51 countries, and I try to spend a little time and get to know people and see things. And very history oriented. I like to go to historic places and check them out and see what people have had in their histories. And our history in America, when you compare it to the rest of the planet, is quite limited. Our history for real doesn't go back as far. We have a history, but it's not like you can see it in the buildings. You can see it. When I was in Uzbekistan, for an example, traveled the Silk Trail, went to Tashkent, went to there were like 5 or 6 cities, and names are escaping me right now. But I followed the whole Silk Trail for about a week, 2 weeks. Checked it out. It was beautiful. And you're going to buildings that have been market trading since 800 BC. Same structures. They're building fabulous and restoring fabulous monuments. And you could talk about the political aspects of that as well as another topic of an entire program. And I'm just trying to put this out there today as an American to say, listen, it's about time to listen, to get your source of news from other people. The little sound bites you get, I listen to CNN, I listen to MSNBC. I force myself to try to catch the news, as they like to call it, from both of those sources, from Fox News as well. Try to get a few little blurbs on it and find out the news of the day and whatever opinions I'm supposed to have. And then I listen to Al Jazeera English, which is a great source for information. There's a great Indian station, Touch of India, something like that. And there's several of them, and I'll try to put more information out about them, because you need to get your information from more sources. And Telegram is one of those that they're trying to destroy, because Telegram is people on the scene. Imagine your own war correspondent, but they aren't correspondents, they're soldiers, actually on the battlefield, taking pictures and taking short videos and uploading them to Telegram. That's what Ukraine is trying to stop, and France is trying to help in that regard. You want real news? Watch Telegram. Speak Russian or any other language. That is why the gentleman is being arrested in France. There's so many sources of news out there. And then there's the towing of the political lines, which unfortunately a lot of people are in. But Ukraine is no different. My God, I could go on for days on this topic. I need my radio station, my radio program restored, and hopefully that starts this weekend, that we get my first show out this weekend and we plan it. I hopefully will get that time and date set up so that we can do it. I wanted to announce it. I wanted to speak about this in English and tell everyone about what is going on and what I see of the SMO, Special Military Operation, but in Russian it's SVO, and Specjalная военная операция, war in Ukraine, and the incursion into Kursk. And I want to give my opinions on all these things because I watch a lot, and I am an expert, and I watch it in English and in Russian, and our experts, I'd sit down against any one of them any time and debate any of these things. And unfortunately, the bulk of ours are doing it in a vacuum where they only perceive or only listen to the good news they wish to hear. Practicing law, you better know the other side's case better than you know your own, or you're going to end up, looking like an idiot when you stand in front of the court or in front of the jury, and you're going to have your ass handed to you. if you don't know the other side's argument at least as well as they do. Hopefully better. That's how you win. You know their sides better. So I like to watch opposing points of view. I've watched Solovyov, a propagandist on the Russian side, and I like watching his format is incredible, and I like watching how that program comes out, especially on Sundays. He does it every day, and the program's 2.5 hours. I don't have time for that. But I try to get the Sunday one in every week because it's a generally better show. He was going over to the SVO himself pretty frequently, taking video, being escorted around by generals and by things like that. But that's back when it was all propaganda. Now they're finishing it up. It'd be nice to see some. I'd love to get in there and go to Kursk myself. I don't want to get killed. I have no desire to do that. And I think this war needs to end first and foremost, and that reasonable minds need to prevail. But unfortunately, I don't see any reasonable minds anywhere, and or they're on the other side. They're the reasonable ones, and we are not. Maybe not. Maybe that's not quite the case, but that's the way I see it right now. The reasonable minds, unfortunately, are in China, are in Russia, and are participants in the BRICS. There's another topic that I could discuss at length and go through. I very much appreciate you for watching this program, listening to me. I'm in my office right now and wanted to get some points of view out on this and discuss it and advertise for myself as well, because I do intend to have this both in video and on a radio platform at damradio.com. And they have good programming right now. In the hours where there isn't talk, there's good music. And in the hours that there is talk, there's normal people talking about normal topics. Some on a local, some on a statewide, and some on an international level, national, international level, which would be me. I'm much more of a macro person when it comes to analysis and when it comes to looking at problems between countries, things like that. I would call myself fairly seasoned and know some things. I very much appreciate you listening to my show. Please come back for more content. Please come back for more shows. Give me a topic you'd like to hear about, and I'd be happy to discuss it. Go to damradio.com. That's where we plan to do phone-in shows, and we're trying to figure that out and make this happen sooner rather than later. So I am quite excited for the prospect. Thank you for spending so much time with me, and listen to me in English and in Russian on my YouTube channel. I am Samuel Trapp. Have a nice day.